Not many games in professional sports can live up to the hype. The Labor Day Classic in Regina is one exception. Their records don't matter much on this weekend. The Blue Bombers and the Roughriders can always sell out Taylor Field.
Well, this year there's a little extra on the line. These are two of the best teams in the league, both in the midst of a torrid Western playoff race, and the winner this afternoon takes a giant step towards finishing first.
It is another sunny Sunday afternoon in Saskatchewan, a perfect day for a classic game. Temperature 27 degrees, the wind southeast, 19 gusting to 28. This is as good as it gets.
Winnipeg's Dave Ritchie is 1 for 4 on Labor Day in Regina. The Bombers are looking to bounce back from a lopsided loss last Labor Day to a backup quarterback by the name of Rocky Butler.
Danny Barrett will try and get his Riders back on track after the meltdown in Edmonton last week. He knows this is the most important game of his career as a coach. It's the Bombers and the Riders. It's Labor Day weekend. It's Taylor Field.
And there's no place we would rather be.
Absolutely perfect for Barrett and the Roughriders, Ritchie and the Blue Bombers. Let's get it underway. Kickoff down near the 20-yard line. Harold Nash has it. Good turn of speed for Nash. He's out across the 45 to the 47 with a 31-yard return. Starting lineups brought to you by Tums. Tums tackles heartburn fast. Kahari Jones is coming off his best outing of the season, 375 yards and a couple of touchdowns last week, and the high-powered Blue Bomber offense is finally on a roll.
Well, they are, and they look good over the last 3 weeks, 3 wins, and he looked like the Kahari Jones of a year ago.
A wonderful atmosphere at Taylor Field. First down, Winnipeg. Jones, a play-action fake, far side. He's got Milt Stiegel, and Stiegel has a first down. McCullough forced him out. Jones with 4 game breakers to play with. Milt Stiegel, Robert Gordon, Charles Roberts, and Mike Sellers. And up front, the Blue Bombers have a 3-time All-Star right in the middle of things, Mo Alawanibi.
Milt Stiegel got back on track last week, had a big game in the Bombers' win versus the Calgary Stampeders, a blowout for Winnipeg. Stiegel over 150 yards in that game.
And his first catch of the game goes for a first down, a 10-yard gain for Winnipeg. Play action again, same side. Mike Sellers. McCullough has to get over and force him out again.
His defense already reeling a little bit in this big game. Front 7, vast improvement from a year ago. Second in the league with 28 sacks from that group. Right there, Reggie Hunt is the leader in the linebacking core. And here is the secondary. Darnell Edwards gets his first start at free safety.
For the Blue Bombers, a 38-yard gain here on the reception by Mike Sellers. And that sets Winnipeg up first down just outside the Saskatchewan 15. 3 receivers to the near side. Jones looks in this direction. He has Roberts. Charles Roberts. Huge collision down at the 5.
You knew that would happen early. Very emotional game when it's Labor Day and it's here in Regina. These two teams will love to hit. Morgan comes up with a big hit. But, John, this is the type of drive the Winnipeg Blue Bombers desperately needed to start this game. Move the football down with a couple of first downs, get into scoring position, and try and take this crowd out of the game early.
Huge hit by Omar Morgan on Charles Roberts. But Roberts had the first down, and the Blue Bombers sit. First and goal to go just inside the 5. Wide open. Kahari Jones. What a beginning for the Blue Bombers, and Kahari Jones made every play work, including the touchdown run.
Well, the crowd is the 13th player always in this game this afternoon, and even though there's lots of Winnipeg fans here that make the trip across, they need to quiet this crowd. The Bombers did that early. They got their guys going.
Kahari Jones has the first score of the game. A 4-yard scamper for the Blue Bomber touchdown. Seven, 0 Blue Bombers. Kahari Jones engineering an opening drive and scoring himself.
Well, he's used play action, John, in the first series to his advantage. These two teams, the last time they played in Winnipeg, in a Winnipeg win on the last-second field goal, they ran the ball, the Bombers, for over 200 yards. They come out in the first series running a whole bunch of play action.
Chance for the Roughriders to respond. Westwood's kickoff coming down to Holmes near the 10. Decent return out across the 35 to the 37. One key play on the Bomber drive for the touchdown.
Yeah, and that was the pass to Sellers, and again, it's play action. Sellers going to waggle up here and then take off, and Terrence Milton, the middle linebacker, is in charge of coverage on him. But watch how they use play action one more time. Kahari Jones, he goes and turns around, play action, fake right there to Charles Roberts, and then finds Mike Sellers right down the sideline. Key play of that drive.
First and 10, Saskatchewan. Cedric Shaw gets into the lineup for Saskatchewan for the first time since week 2. And here are the targets. Dominguez is the leading receiver. Travis Moore is back in the lineup. Nickerson also playing well. And up front, a veteran offensive line with O'Day, Green, and McCoskey. They have been solid all season long. Nealon Green finds himself right in the middle of another Rough Rider quarterbacking controversy as he gets the start here today. And Green will get the first down. Travis Moore, first catch.
Defense for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the front seven. Number 1 versus the run in Canadian football. Brian Clark coming off a huge game versus Calgary, had 2 interceptions. David Benefield leads the way with 6 sacks. There's your secondary. Maurice Kelly, the safety. Harold Nash, the leader in that group.
Saskatchewan first down just shy of the 50. Shotgun for Green. Under the cover. He's got Dominguez. Huge first down for the Rough Riders. Matt Dominguez, leading receiver for Saskatchewan in the absence of Travis Moore for the last couple of games, but this guy's had a stellar season.
Well, he has, with over 500 yards after 10 games, but he is a much better player with Travis Moore in the lineup simply because Travis Moore will demand more attention. That leaves a one-on-one for Matt Dominguez, and to have Travis Moore back is certainly a security blanket for the quarterbacks.
He is the number 1 gun in the Saskatchewan passing offense and the key to the Rough Riders' success. Cedric Shaw coming back into the lineup with a different number. He's number 22 on his return after missing most of the season so far.
A good example when you see Cedric Shaw now back in the lineup of the depth that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have built into their lineup, especially offensively. The quarterback, they have Henry Burris as their backup now, and Cedric Shaw takes over for Kenton Keith, who was doing well in relief.
Shaw picked up 4 yards, 2nd and 6, Saskatchewan at the Blue Bomber 35. Green may have room to roam, and he'll turn it into a first down, or very close to it. That is Nealon Green's game, the ability to run.
No question, he is at his best when he can run, and there's been a bit of concern here in Saskatchewan with Nealon Green that his quadricep on his right leg has been bothering, which of course has spurred on the controversy in the quarterback question mark, which is always here in Saskatchewan, between whether or not you play Henry Burris, who's now been with the Riders for 4 games, 2 on the practice roster, 2 dressed on the sideline.
And this is 3rd game dressed, and he has been moved up to the number 2 spot. Nowhere to run. Terry Ray makes his presence felt.
Whoa!
He's just back into the Bomber lineup.
Terry Ray just said to the Saskatchewan offense, I read your book. Here he is right here, and he's got to know something. This is game planning from Terry Ray. He saw the movement, he shot the gap, and was in the backfield.
Second and 13, Saskatchewan. Green looking deep. No one home. Dominguez ran the sidelines, and Green thought he was going to cut in.
Well, he wanted Travis Moore, and Travis Moore was jammed up by Harold Nash. And I mentioned off the top of the show, Harold Nash is the leader in the secondary for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he will be matched up against Travis Moore for most of this evening.
Paul McCallum good on 87%. He's having a sensational year. Definitely in range, into a slight breeze. "39-yard drive, and the Riders are on the board." First drive for the Bombers goes for 7. First drive for the Roughriders for 3. It's Labor Day in Regina. So far, it's everything we've expected on Labor Day weekend at Taylor Field.
First drive of the game, Kahari Jones moved the football down the field for Winnipeg and finished with his 3rd touchdown run of the season, and Saskatchewan answered with a field goal.
Bombers' second possession here, beginning at the 35 after the Roughrider three-pointer from McCallum. Charles Roberts cuts it back inside. Better than 5. Scott Schultz was there to make the tackle.
Charles Roberts has just over a 5-yard rushing average on the season, but he has 831 yards, and the last time these two teams met up, boy, he had a big one. 186 yards rushing, average jumped up to 6.6, and also had a touchdown.
And the Bombers as a team ran for 250 yards in the first meeting against Saskatchewan. 2nd and 4. Roberts again. Extra effort, and he should have the first down.
And John, that's why the Bombers have come into this game, and in the very first series gone to a lot of play action, faking the running game to Charles Roberts and to Mike Sellers and putting the ball in the air. Now in the second series of the game, they go back into the regular game plan, which is to run the football primarily to Charles Roberts, but you'll see a lot from Michael Sellers as well, and Nate Davis has them all tied up but can't pull them down before he picks up the first down.
1st and 10, Winnipeg at the Bomber 45. The play action again, and room to run for Kahari Jones. Sliding at the 50, took a hit before he could get down completely. Darnell Edwards moving in from his safety spot, getting his first starts of the season.
You're going to see the reason that play action can be successful. You watch these linemen up front, how they slant to the play action and allow Kahari Jones to get open. If you give up against a team over 200 yards rushing, boy, are you ever conscious of the running game when you come in to play them again. And right now, they are over-pursuing the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense to that running game.
Kahari Jones, a 15-yard run. The Bombers first down at the 50. Faked an end around. At the 30, Milt Stiegel was the target, and the coverage was a little too tight. Jones had to hurry it a bit.
Well, Jones had to get rid of it because that pocket started to get like a phone booth on him. And that's a little tight for quarterbacks to get that football out and feel comfortable doing so. You can see how it started to collapse on him. And at the other end of that play, boy, Darnell Edwards, if he needs a confidence builder at safety in his first start, coming in and making a hit like this on Milt Stiegel will give it to him right there.
And tipped away by Eddie Davis. 2nd and 10, Bombers. Jones under the cover. Stoddard has the catch.
See, now it's more like a living room or something, that you see the pocket is a lot bigger as he moves the pocket a little bit for Kahari Jones. See how he moved it just slightly at 3 or 4 yards to his left. Now look at the comfort zone he has and the throwing lane that he has to get that football out there to Stoddard. You want to make sure that the quarterback is comfortable.
So that's why you want him in a living room, not a phone booth.
Not a phone booth. You don't want him in a phone booth. It's a little tight quarters.
Close enough to measure on the gain by Stoddard. Good yard shy.
John, I'll mention it again. You can see with the production offensively from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers how quiet all of a sudden it is. There are over 40,000 packed here in Taylor Field, a sellout. And they're quite quiet right now.
40,323. It's amazing. Third down, about a yard to go. The Bombers are going for it. Sellers will have the first down. No penalty markers anywhere.
Tough to stop the Sellers Express on a 1-yarder.
He's slimmed way down.
Yeah, he's cut way back to 275, starting at fullback for the Bombers. And
says he's a little light, but it's been hot lately.
You can see his numbers when he carries the ball up around 144 yards this season. Has the 3 touchdowns, and you know he doesn't get the ball a whole bunch, but we've seen him with a key play already in this one on that pass.
Set up the first touchdown.
That's right.
First down, Winnipeg. Roberts, will he get around the corner? On an extra effort, he does. A great move by Charles Roberts. He appeared to be stopped. Roughriders had him lined up. Somehow he got away.
Terrence Melton, the middle linebacker, was wanting a holding call on the play. He's just to the left of your screen, got pulled and turned all around. And I don't know how Charles Roberts found a way to make something out of that, because there certainly wasn't a whole bunch of room for him to run on that left side. But he doesn't need much room.
Not quite as much as his
Sellers.
running mate Sellers. 12-yard gain, first down Winnipeg. Now inside the Saskatchewan 30. Harry Jones has engineered 2 super drives already. Roberts again. Couldn't get away. Melton had him that time.
Well, now Terrence Melton has got to try and calm this Rider defense down a little bit. They have some inexperience at the safety position, but certainly their front 7, led by Nate Davis, has been the strength of their team. Shante Peoples having maybe his best year as a pro. Those are the leaders that they look to when they start to reel a little bit, which they have in these first 2 series.
Gain limited to 3, second and 7 Winnipeg. To Harry Jones. And he didn't miss by all that much.
Well, Darnell
Stiegel.
John, the presence of Darnell Edwards in the middle. And again, that's 2 pretty good plays from a guy in his first start this year. He forced Kahari Jones to throw that football in a place where, as you can see how that ball's way out to the left, because of where Darnell Edwards was lined up at the safety spot, that forced Kahari Jones to throw it to the outside and hope that Stiegel could try and run under it, and he couldn't get there.
Edwards, a graduate of the University of Manitoba, Montreal native, has had tough luck and hurt both knees in the CFL, just getting back into the lineup. Westwood has a 31-yard field goal. So the Bombers have scored on both drives and have the lead. 13,000 additional seats have been filled here at Taylor Field this afternoon to bring the total to 40,323. The Grey Cup capacity will be 51,000 plus.
And because of that big crowd always on Labor Day, these players, when they play in this game, have to try and keep their emotions at a low level.
Roughriders will try and respond. Elon Green got it away. Travis Moore couldn't hang on.
You know, it's always easy to get up for the game at the professional level. You look forward to game time and you work all week to prepare. And I've seen a lot of the Saskatchewan defenders and some of the Bombers on offense as well. Everybody breathing real hard. It's only the second possession for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and yet some of those linemen are, sometimes that adrenaline can get out of hand as well, and that's the other side of the coin. And in this game on Labor Day, they have to try and keep a lid on it a little bit.
Second and 10, Saskatchewan from the 35. Green looking deep. Travis Moore, well covered, and a flag comes down. Tightly covered by Tim Carter.
Yeah.
And he gets flagged for it.
Well, you know, Tim Carter, there was some contact as he tried to make up ground, and that's why this was called. The reason it was called is because Travis Moore was in behind Tim Carter, and as Carter tried to catch up to him, he bumped him just before the ball arrived. Wasn't big contact, wasn't a bunch.
Pass interference, Winnipeg, number 23, first down.
And he didn't really grab him, but because he was beat and had to make up ground, as you can see him right here at the end starting to chase underneath that, and then he little bump on the shoulder pads, almost incidental in a lot of ways. And he did get his hand on the ball, but he did bump before the ball arrived.
Net result for Travis Moore, a 30-yard gain. Saskatchewan set up at the Blue Bomber 45 first down. The other side, and Moore was the target again, just out of his reach.
See that ball just sail a little bit on Travis Moore, and you wonder right here, Moore on the out, the timing pattern from the inside position. Travis Moore, obviously the number one target for Nealon Green, and you wonder about the pressure from him having Henry Burris now on the sideline and how that's affected him. His passing game has actually improved since Burris' arrival.
This will be 2nd and 10. Get it away, batted down. Or is it fumbled? The Bombers have a live ball. McGriggs comes up with it.
Well, the question was Nealon Green's arm moving forward when he was hitting the pocket? And I don't think it was. He looked like he was hit. That ball popped out of there, and the officials didn't hesitate. They let the play continue.
It's
Take
a turnover.
another look. Nealon Green has the ball down low on his hips, and absolutely that ball pops right out of there and is gone. That's a fumble. Winnipeg football and the first big turnover of the game. See if they can capitalize now.
Roylin Bradley getting his first start. Created the fumble for the Bombers. 1st and 10, Winnipeg. Kahari Jones. Over the middle, it's Stiegel again. Always dangerous after the catch, and he has about 6 more after making the reception.
Tremendous balance in the offense right now is the reason Winnipeg has this edge. They've quieted the crowd. They did that in their first series. And now they've shown some balance. They've shown spread formations. They're using the entire football field, throwing the ball a couple of times to Stiegel, using fullback Mike Sellers, and then throwing in some runs to Charles Roberts.
A 21-yard gain. Bombers are threatening to score again, leading 10-3. And it might be on this play. Touchdown, Winnipeg. It was wide open for Charles Roberts. And that is a 21-yard touchdown run for Roberts, his 5th of the year.
And you see the explosion from Charles Roberts on that play. He may be one of the only running backs in the game that you really don't worry about his per rush average, because at 5 it doesn't look all that impressive. But he can, on one play, accelerate and explode like that and really hurt defenses.
Troy Westwood makes it 17-3 for the Bombers. Opportunistic, to say the least, on Labor Day at Taylor Field. Blue Bombers have 7 more off the turnover.
Well, it's called sudden change to the players when you have a turnover, and here's the turnover created by the Winnipeg defense. Fumble that ended up into some decent field position as well. And in sudden change, offensively, when you step on the field, you got to make them pay, and the Bombers did that in a hurry.
Corey Holmes. And not much field position. Bombers special teams looking sharp too. Just 17 on the return.
And you see the lead block coming right here by Mike Sellers, number 33. He's got the kick-out block to the outside, and he just creates a huge running lane to the left side of that formation, along with Dan Getvey. The two of them open up the left side of that defense.
Blue Bombers have had a tough time winning on Labor Day at Taylor Field. 7 losses in their last 10 Labor Days here. One of the victories, Matt Dunnigan, winning here in 1993, 25-24. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, well, I tried to forget those ones. I remember some of the wins, but I tried to forget.
You're not remembering Matt's big day?
I don't remember Matt's big day, but boy, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you can count the wins on Labor Day on one hand, because it is awful tough to come into this park, a packed house in the afternoon, and find a way to win. But the Bombers this afternoon have done what they've had to do to start this game. That's get 3 successful drives in a row, take the crowd out of it, and then it just becomes another game.
3 opportunities, 3 scores for the Bombers. The opening drive was most impressive.
I think I might have intercepted Matt Dunnigan in that game. No, I do remember.
Yeah, you remember it now? Actually, Bombers hammered you guys that day, 25-24.
Oh, yeah, well, they consider it a blowout if they were out on by 1. But, hey, they keep playing football like this, and the Bombers are on their way, because this is a tremendous block. Good kick-out block to the outside. Charles Roberts, look at the hole he has to run into. It just accelerates straight to the end zone. Darnell Edwards, no chance to get to him on the outside.
Dennis Mavrin, the injured Rough Rider, making his way to the sideline now. Saskatchewan starts deep in Rider territory. The return was not terrific, so the Riders begin inside the 20. Cedric Shaw, not much there. Benefield was waiting.
Mentioned Nealon Green and how he's adjusted to the pressure of having Henry Burris, who is not only a tremendously gifted quarterback, but also one of the fan favorites here. Won the 5 games before Burris arrived. Theirs was a percentage and average per game yardage. You see how that's improved. Competition will always bring the best out of football players, and the arrival of Henry Burris has done that for Nealon Green.
And the one note is that Nealon Green did not play against the Bombers in the first meeting won by Winnipeg this season. 2nd and long. That'll be a first down. Travis Moore, he is the clutch guy, missing from the Saskatchewan lineup for 3 games. Maurice Kelly over to make the tackle.
Travis Moore is a smart football player. He's in the middle of this trips formation to the backside, and watch how he just tries to avoid the jam there, gets inside position on Maurice Kelly, and just presents a target. Didn't have to run full speed through the field. All he had to do was find that little soft spot in behind the linebackers, but in front of the defensive backs, Dave Donaldson.
Travis Moore with 450 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns coming into this one. A little mix-up, a flag down. And Green scrambles for about 5. Ryan Clark might have moved a little early there.
You know, I've been watching Nealon Green because a little talk about that quad injury and how he's run the football.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 48, first down repeated.
And the Riders will take this penalty, put them in 1st and 5. And he looks like he's not favoring the leg, so Nealon Green looks to be okay physically.
And barring another flag, this will be the final play of the opening quarter. Lots for Bomber fans to be happy about so far. Saskatchewan looking at 1st and 5. Cedric Shaw getting back into the Rough Rider lineup after going out with an injury in week 3. So that is the final play of the opening quarter. It's Labor Day at Taylor Field, Regina. And we had to fight the urge to buy a watermelon, hollow it out, and wear it to the ballpark here today. And we have done so. It is a fashion statement, no doubt about it.
Well, there is a lot of fans that make the trip from Winnipeg. In fact, the Bombers this week, because of the crowd situation here, practiced with loudspeakers on the field, and they actually stayed in Moose Jaw, which is just outside of Regina. Didn't want to stay in the city simply because it is such a party on Labor Day weekend for this game, and it can be very loud in the city, and you can't get much sleep as a player if you're the visiting
the
team.
hotels are full and a little noisy, no question about it. Zarka has the first down for Saskatchewan at midfield. Huge hole opens up. Cedric Shaw inside the 35. Biggest play of the afternoon for the Roughriders.
And that'll get a lot of the fans back into this one in a hurry. A play like that. Cedric Shaw, watch the hole. Huge off the left side. Terry Ray pushed out by Chris Zarka. And while the numbers weren't real impressive by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, especially looked at rushing yards in the first quarter, a play like that will help them along the way in a big
just 21
hurry.
in the first quarter. Add 23 to that, and you're up to date.
More on that one play than they had in the entire first quarter.
Double tight end formation. Nice fake. First down, Roughriders out at the 15. Travis Moore again. You can see how important he is to this Saskatchewan offense.
Well, not just catching the football like that. He's got to go make some adjustments. It looks like he's maybe nicked up in the face a little bit. You see how he works down inside and then breaks to the outside. You know he has time because Nealon Green is rolling that way to work the defensive back, make sure he can get himself wide open. But not only that, but he also, because demands the double team a bunch, he opens up the rest of his receiving core in one-on-ones.
I think he got poked in the eye on the tackle, and that's why they're tending to him right now. The Labor Day Classic, the Blue Bombers and the Roughriders, Taylor Field, Regina. The Roughriders have won 4 of the last 5 Labor Day Classics. As you can see, the Bombers are well prepared here this afternoon as we bring in Ray Morrison somewhere in the stands.
Yeah, John, in talking with a lot of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in that streak of losing 4 of 5, they'd like to end that as far as the Riders' success has been concerned. And a lot of them feel the best way to do that is to win in front of the largest crowd in Labor Day history at Taylor Field of 40,320. For some reason, it doesn't matter what these teams' records are. At the time, the Riders always seem to come out on top, and the Bombers are going to see if they can stop that in front of the biggest crowd ever here for a Labor Day weekend game.
The new seats added for the Grey Cup, and there will be more before Grey Cup Sunday arrives. Seating here will be 51,000 plus for the Grey Cup. 77
days away, folks. And this province will put on the biggest party of the year.
And it is Fritos Fandemonium Day here in Regina, where one lucky fan will receive a trip for 2 to the Grey Cup right here. Nothing satisfies like Fritos, and we can only hope that maybe it's a Blue Bomber fan that wins, so the trip is worthwhile. I mean, you wouldn't want to be coming from South Albert on the free trip, would you? Saskatchewan first down. Oh. Well, Jason French couldn't hang on.
I'll tell you one thing, there is no more blue or green paint available in this province or in Manitoba. Travis Moore is on his way to the dressing room. You're right, it looked like he was poked in the eye, or at least cut. He might have to go in there for some stitches. I know they were holding that gauze on the right side of his hand. This is a play where he was injured. Maurice Kelly right across, up high in the face, and must have got his hand in there in some way, maybe his thumb, and looks like he might have cut Travis Moore.
This is 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan at the Blue Bomber 15. Nealon Green looks to run, head down. He's got 8, maybe 9 yards.
Well, that little pump fake really got him a chance in the outside, because when he broke containment and pump faked the football, it really froze the defenders. He's going to step up into this side of the formation. And as he does it, watch this pump fake right there to freeze Brian Clark just for a second to give himself about 3 or 4 extra yards and make this close.
Clark still made the play and slowed him down, keeping him short of a first down.
Now Danny Barrett has sent in the field goal team. They're about a yard away, and obviously the crowd hates this call.
3rd down, less than a yard to go. And the Roughriders will settle for a field goal try from Paul McCallum, trailing 17-3.
Oh, wait a minute.
They fake that. Kevin Glenn in at quarterback will have the 1st down.
Kevin Glenn is the holder in field goal situation, so Danny Barrett wanted the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to put on their field goal return team, and with the field goal return team on, Glenn just says, wait a minute, hey, you know what, we're not going to kick the field goal. I'm going to come up here and take it on the quarterback
And look at the
sneak.
Bombers scramble there, but Glenn needs 2nd effort to do it.
Well, he bounces to the outside, but the Bombers were scrambling just to line up right. Tricky little call there from Danny Barrett.
3 cracks at it from here at the Blue Bomber 3. Cedric Shaw up and away.
Boy, he got some airtime. I thought he might just fly into the end zone from 4 yards out. That's how much airtime he had, but he landed on a bomber. That was his problem. He takes the handoff. Watch him go up and over. Looks like he's just going to fly all the way, and then he is hit right at the line of scrimmage.
Ryland Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley got underneath him.
Usually it is the other way around. The bomber lands on you. 2nd and goal from the Bomber 1. That'll be it. Our man Chris Zarka. Touchdown, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, the Riders
This
have
is the
one.
guy they call Mr. Rough Rider.
The Riders have one too. We talked about Mike Sellers, and it's tough to stop the Sellers Express and 1 yard away. Well, Zarka is the Riders' answer to that.
Not many carries on the season for Mr. Rough Rider, but he has a lot of touchdowns. 212 rushing yards. McCallum converts Zarka's touchdown, and the Riders are back within a touchdown. We've got a ball game. That's because it's Labor Day. Chris Zarka in the middle of that sea of green, number 33, has his 9th touchdown of the season, a 1-yard plunge.
Look at Cedric Shaw in there trying to quiet the crowd a factor even with the Riders, the football at scoring range. He's trying to control it so Nealon Green can call the signals, keep his football team on side. They did that, and Zarka finished with a touchdown.
Cedric Shaw back in the lineup after being injured in week 3. Harold Nash bobbles it. Stopped at the 25. 11 on the return. U.S. Open Tennis from Flushing Meadows, New York, right after we're done. 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific time for more from the U.S. Open Championship.
That's a key play. Field goal formation that turned into a 1st down. Kevin Glenn off the left side. A key play to set up that Zarka touchdown and get the crowd back in it.
Sellers around the right side for about 5. Terrence Melton, the middle linebacker, made the stop on Mike Sellers, who averages 4.9 yards a carry.
What a contrast between the two styles. You get 275 coming at you at one play, and then likely the very next play, you go to 170.
Yeah.
So you just
100 pounds difference in the running backs
between Charles Roberts and Mike Sellers, and you see standing side by side, you can actually see how different they are.
Roberts can hide behind him. On 2nd down. Jones complete. Stoddard has another catch. Omar Morgan held on.
You know, I mentioned Kahari Jones in the last 3 games, all wins for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Twice this year, prior to those 3 wins, Kahari Jones was pulled out of football games because he just wasn't performing at the level that everyone is used to and that he expects from himself. In the last 3 games, he has improved in a big way, averaging over 300 yards passing in the last 3.
And last week was his best game of the season. Another Bomber first down. Jones will put it up. Sellers sliding out of the backfield. Davin Bush got a hold of one leg. Jones 375 yards and a couple of touchdowns last week against Calgary.
Well, I mentioned over 300 yards in the last 3 games. His completion percentage in those 3 jumped up to 66.5. And in the last 3, 6 touchdowns and just 1 interception. That is the Kahari Jones that Bomber fans are used to seeing. There's his production in the last 3 games, folks. Pretty impressive.
2nd and 8. Winnipeg at the 40. Wide open target far side. It's Stoddard again.
Well, that's a tough catch for Jamie Stoddard over there.
Looking back
into the sun. Yeah, the sun comes right off that corner here at Taylor Field, and that was a high throw. He had to expose himself to a hit from a defensive back by both arms up over top of his head and try to fight the sun as well. Key play. He had to look over that corner, and that sun comes right down in that corner. It's awful tough, and that's a good catch by Jamie Stoddard. Get good first down production, which has been the trademark for the Bombers in this game so far.
Just a little bit shy on Stoddard's 3rd catch of the afternoon. A couple for 52 yards last week against the Stampeders. 13 for 215 and 1 touchdown coming into this one.
You know, there's these 2 teams in the standing. It's so tight in the West right now, and that's really the most important part of this football game. But when it's Labor Day weekend and these 2 teams are playing, the bragging rights almost becomes more important and upstages the standings.
Well, there's not a game like this in the CFL guaranteed to be a crowd pleaser. There was early movement on a 3rd and 1.
Yeah, that's first down. That Terrence Milton was in the backfield well before the snap of the football for the Riders. So that will be Bomber first down unless somehow he was drawn offside.
Well, less than a yard to go. The Bombers were in pretty good shape to get
Offside,
it anyway,
Saskatchewan,
even without the
37.
call.
First down.
It was Terrence Milton.
Just having a look at Travis Moore's situation. He went off to have some stitches on his cheek, guys. Apparently his visor came down and nicked him, and he had to go off for about a half a dozen stitches. So Ivan Goodfriend told me that he's going to be back.
Oh, yeah, you can't. A couple stitches and he's back out there. You can't keep Travis Moore out with a little cut.
First down. Bombers have it on the ground. Charles Roberts is wrapped up. Riders defense really struggled in the first half against the Eskimos last week. In fact, Danny Barrett said it was the worst half of football his team had played since he became the head coach here.
And I actually talked to defensive coordinator Richie Hall as well. And Richie said probably the worst game they played in the last 2 years, going back to 2001. So no question this Rider defense with the pride on the line in this big game want to bounce back.
2nd and 10. Blue Bombers. Jones has Stoddard again. Stoddard turns it into another first down. Tough to bring down. Standing across the 20. And Bob Perry finally got over to make the tackle. So Stoddard has been a key factor for the Blue Bombers here with another huge gain.
John Ladolfius McCalla slips number 1 on the play. He goes down. Watch as he tries to cut underneath that little rub from Robert Gordon. He goes down right at the 45-yard line. Jamie Stoddard wide open, makes the catch, and then picks up some yak yards after the fact.
In total, 40 yards for Stoddard on this play.
Yards after catch.
I got your yak. Yes, I do.
It's a little slow to get up. Good start for Jamie Stoddard here in this one.
4th catch. He has 65. We'll be on the road again next Friday night. Wendy's Friday Night Football. We're going to bring these guys along with us. That's the guys in the bottom part of the screen, not at the top there.
Well, they may make the trip too. You never know. But always a big crowd for that Labor Day rematch in Edmonton between the Stamps and the Eskimos. And the panel will be there as well. Stoddard looks okay on that sideline for the Bombers, but he'll have to wait 3 plays.
His 40-yard reception and run afterwards, setting Winnipeg up first down inside the 20. Kahari Jones looks to the end zone and missed. Ladarius Van.
Well, one thing that the Bombers have wanted to improve on is their production once they get in the red zone inside the 25-yard line. They have 18 touchdowns, 34 opportunities. They'd like to turn more of the 13 field goals into majors and make good on their opportunities inside the 25. Tonight, they have 2 touchdowns. They got in the red zone. They're in there again.
2nd and 10. Blue Bombers just inside the Roughrider 20. Picked up. Jackie Mitchell. A one-hander. And that saves the Roughriders bacon.
Well, if the crowd wasn't in it then, after the Rider touchdown, they're certainly in it now after the Jackie Mitchell interception. His 6th interception on the season. Linebackers have been ball hawks for these two teams. Jackie Mitchell now has 6. On the other side, Brian Clark also has 6.
A little embarrassing for the DBs, wouldn't you say?
Well, nice play by Mitchell, too. He looked like a receiver because he catches it. He's right over here at the right of your screen, and he's going to come all the way back in the formation, asked to do some pass coverage, cuts underneath, and then makes a nice one-hander right at the left side of your screen.
Mitchell has taken 2 of his previous interceptions back for touchdowns. Corey Holmes around the left side. The Riders are able to run. Interesting with those linebackers hauling in all those interceptions, wouldn't you say, pal?
Well, you know, the one thing is that linebackers are asked to do a lot more covering these days than they were in the past, and linebackers are really at this time in this stage of football converted defensive backs. So not real surprising that they've got more interceptions.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, there's a lot more backs moving down from the secondary to play as linebackers. Jackie Mitchell is one of them.
And Jackie Mitchell and Brian Clark, both in this game here this evening, lead the Canadian Football League in interceptions.
Now, Brian Clark is not one of those tweener guys. He's a linebacker.
Always has been a linebacker, and he's coming off a game versus Calgary where he had 2.
One for a touchdown, yeah. 2nd down, less than a yard to go. Saskatchewan after the turnover. 4:36 till halftime. And this will be a first down. No penalty flags anywhere.
But that was a big one for the Roughriders, even if they can't produce points in this drive because it took points off the board for Winnipeg.
Bombers they were definitely in scoring range.
Yeah, and in field goal position. So that was a huge play from Jackie Mitchell. Danny Barrett, even if he gets a couple of first downs and punts, dodged a big bullet because Bombers go in for a major at that point, and again, take this crowd right out of it.
1st and 10, Saskatchewan.
Shorten it up.
Elon Green stands in. Now looks for room and throws on the run, far side. He's got Corey Grant.
Oh, what a throw. What a throw.
Corey Grant's first.
From Elon Green. Corey Grant has time. He's at the top of your screen on the 30. Works to the inside, then can bang back to the outside. He has time because Green is on the dead roll. But what a throw from Elon Green to get it out there. He had no chance to set up. He was on the dead fly to the right side. He's fading backwards off his heels and puts that one right on the money.
First catch for Corey Grant. He has 16 yards. Riders first down at the 50. Cedric Shaw. Doug Brown had him by the ankles.
You know, in that Winnipeg defense, they started real strong. Brian Clark, we mentioned the game he's coming off of versus Calgary with a couple interceptions. Doug Brown, the key to stopping that run in the middle of the formation, especially the Cedric Shaw type runs, because that's the hard yards inside. So him and Denny Fortney are in charge of that. And on the outside, it's up to Lamar McGriggs, David Benefield to try and contain Nealon Green.
Riders 2nd and 9. Green won't have anywhere to go. There's a flag down. Lamar McGriggs was making the tackle.
And that's what we're talking about. It's up to the outside linebackers, Lamar McGriggs, Terry Ray, to try and contain Nealon Green, and it was Lamar McGriggs who tracked him down there.
And the flag was down deep in the Blue Bombers secondary. We'll check it out in return. The 3-minute warning is up at Taylor Field on Labor Day.
Lamar McGriggs is going to do a nice job here of tracking down Nealon Green, but his efforts go for naught because of the illegal contact down the field by Dave Donaldson. Dominguez was coming across the middle right there in your screen, and as he breaks to the outside, Donaldson gets them all wrapped up. There's the illegal contact, first down Riders.
Riders are at the 50. Green has time, but a flag comes down. No catch near the 35. Chris Zarka was the intended receiver, couldn't hang on. This one will come back. Anyway.
Yeah, it would have come back even if it was a Zarka catch down the field. And here's why.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 60. First down repeated.
Gene Mikowski called on the holding, and Mikowski's going to be matched up for a lot of the evening against David Benefield, who is having a very good year. 6 sacks for Benefield. He had a forced fumble versus Calgary that went for a touchdown, and those two will go head to head. 303 versus 245 pounds of quickness.
Benefield, the lineman of the month for August.
I also think the time of the clock.
First and 20, Saskatchewan back at the Riders 50 now. Little screen pass almost picked off. In fact, it is. Denny Fortney comes up with the interception. It just dribbled into his hands.
Denny Fortney is not often asked to try and cover anybody, including the running backs and Cedric Shaw. That's the job of the linebackers. But Denny Fortney will just sniff this one out on his own and slide over to Shaw. It bounces off Shaw's hands and right into the big paws of Denny Fortney. You can see him slide over there. He reads it on his own. That's not his responsibility, and shows up when Nealon Green doesn't believe he should be there.
The interception sets the Blue Bombers up inside the Saskatchewan 45. Charles Roberts. Jackie Mitchell made the tackle.
The Bombers so far offensively have done exactly what they've wanted to do in this game, and that's to provide some balance, running the football, using play action, finding Milt Stegall, Jamie Stoddard a few times, and take the crowd out of it early. Get an early lead, because on Labor Day, if the Bombers come in here and don't do that, it snowballs in a hurry.
Gain of 7, 2nd and 3, Winnipeg. Roberts again, he won't get there this time. Terrence Melton.
Come on, guys.
And this Saskatchewan defense, they were reeling in the first quarter and probably too pumped up. I mean, I know coming in as the home team playing on Labor Day weekend, you are always so high. You walk onto the field about 3 or 4 feet off it. You're floating in this game. The adrenaline is pumping. They've settled down since then, made some plays. Jackie Mitchell with an interception. Terrence Milton, a couple big plays on the run.
And the interception by Denny Fortney sets the Bombers up for this field goal try from 42. Westwood made his first. And he's 2 for 2. Turnover turns into 3 more on the Bombers scorecard. It's the Bombers by 10 with less than 2 minutes to halftime. Saskatchewan from the 35. Cedric Shaw for about 5 when all is said and done. Lamar McGriggs over to make the tackle on Shaw. What an afternoon for football here at Taylor Field. And the guys are ready to go at halftime.
Yeah, you got to check them out quickly at halftime and then in the third quarter, because then they're heading to the airport for Edmonton.
Oh, they'll need an early start, yes.
Because they love to get on the road. The group love to get on the road, so they're on their way.
Green, look for Grant, couldn't make the catch. Tim Carter was covering.
Timing was perfect from Tim Carter. He came up and Carter's made a couple plays. It seems like on Labor Day weekend when these two teams play, it's always sort of the player that you least suspect that comes up with a big game. Maybe Tim Carter for the Bombers will be the guy. He's made a couple in this one already. It's often sort of the guy that is the left guard or the fullback or maybe the third string quarterback like
the
a year
Rocky
ago.
Butler type. Maybe. Who had his first start on Labor Day.
Maybe it's
and that was his only start, but he won. He beat the Blue Bombers last year.
Maybe it's a Jamie started for the Bombers here tonight, or
Procedure, Saskatchewan, 99, still third down.
Or a fullback like a Chris Zarka for the Riders. You never know.
How about this? This is the first punt of the ball game. Right here now. Well, it'll be the second.
Are you saying that the punters should feel guilty?
Well, I'm just saying that everything else has gone on and teams haven't been forced to kick the football.
Well, what we've seen is some pretty good offense from both teams. They've moved the football and put some points on the board. And Kahari Jones.
Please reset the clock to read 1:30, 1:30.
Adjust the clock here and make sure that they add the second. Never know how important that could be. Kahari Jones in his last 3 games, I mentioned how he's improved and really playing with the confidence he played last year, and he's carried on again in this first half.
Another flag goes down on this punt. And so does Lawrence Deck, stopped at the 35 by Eddie Davis. We'll check out the infraction back near the 40.
You know, Milt Stiegel this year only a couple of times has been over 100 yards receiving. One of them last week versus Calgary Stampeders. Last year in 2002, he was over 100.
Holding, Winnipeg, number 3, first down.
He was over 100 yards 10 times. And he just has not been allowed to get that deep ball like he did a year ago. Teams are double teaming Milt Stiegel, having one guy short and jamming him up, and then another deep to pick him up once he gets around the jam. Now, he did break loose last week versus Calgary, 175, his best game this year. But if Milt Stiegel's going to get 100-yard games this year, he's going to do it with 10, 15-yard patterns and have to add them up in a hurry.
Ladarius Van, number 8, flanks to the near side for Winnipeg. Trips on the far side of the field. Jones can't find anyone. He'll grab a couple of yards, forced out by Marcus Adams, and there's a penalty marker there.
Marcus Adams chased Kahari Jones and gave him a little push right on that sideline, which is where the flag came out.
No infraction on the play.
And they're going to wave it off. Fans hated it. And we'll show you, fans hated this. The flag came out with this little push right there. As Kahari Jones was on that big white stripe, they realized that there was no problem. Jones was okay, and they waved it off. It's a good decision. It's important down for the Riders. They can get a stop. They have time for some points before the half.
And at 14 on the clock, this is second down and 6. Jones goes deep. Looking for Milt. Eddie Davis was covering on Milt Stiegel.
And it was one of the very few times this year that Milt Stiegel finally got a one-on-one. Now, it was against a veteran of 9 years in Eddie Davis, but he finally got that one-on-one, and he finally got a chance to go down the field. And you can see how tight the coverage was. Gary Jones had to throw it outside of Davis and couldn't get it in there. John, the Riders have time with a little bit of a return from Corey Holmes to try and put some points on the board.
And Holmes should give Saskatchewan good field position from where he's lined up. It's not deep by Westwood. And the Bombers will turn it over to Saskatchewan right at midfield. 1:01 to play, so a couple of first downs, and they're in McCallum range.
On a hold, first down. 101.
And there is,
Right in.
with that much time left, time for a major.
Oh, no question about that.
And it's going to have to be likely in the hurry-up offense, but certainly the Riders do not have to become conservative and play just for a field goal.
Right at midfield, first down Saskatchewan. Last sequence of the opening half. They'll keep it on the ground to Corey Holmes.
Second down.
It'll be second down. Holmes is better than halfway to a first down.
Nealon Green hasn't taken off and racked up that big run that we're accustomed to seeing from Green. I truly believe that he is still at his best when he uses his legs to break down the defense.
Second and 4, Roughriders. Cedric Shaw will have the first down. 38 seconds till halftime.
Nice little rub play from the Riders. Have two receivers go down inside, and Cedric Shaw just slip underneath to the outside.
Flag on the far side of the field. This is coming back.
Well, was the rub a little too aggressive?
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 87. Second down, repeat.
Well, it wasn't too aggressive. They just were a little too anxious to execute the rub.
Jason French got the jump.
And you can see way up at the top of your screen, he's well into that neutral zone right up here and offside.
So this will be second and 9, Riders. 38 seconds, another flag down. Patrick Thibault goes high to bring it down. But there was a penalty marker before the ball was tossed.
Well, Patrick Thibault may be the guy this time. He looked like he was into that neutral zone from the receiving core, and these are two untimely penalties for the Riders.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 85. Second down, repeat.
And I'll tell you why, because if you go back to that Cedric Shaw catch, not only was it a first down, but it was well into field goal range for Paul McCallum. And now the Riders, after two offside penalties that are controllable, are now out of field goal range.
Second and 14, 33 seconds on the clock. Riders are back at the 51. Big play for Nealon Green. He got back to the original line of scrimmage plus a yard. Now 25 seconds remain. Tyson St. James made the stop. It'll be third down.
Paul McCallum, as you saw Green get tackled, was already talking to Danny Barrett, and he had his kicking tee in his hand. Barrett elected to go with the punt formation, and it's because of the returners in this league this year.
Well, how many missed field goals have gone all the way?
Exactly. Now, Paul McCallum has made field goals of over 50 yards in his career, and he's got a bit of a breeze behind him. He was talking Barrett into trying to go for the long field goal and talked out of it because of the return ability of a lot of players in this league, including Ladarius Van, who, if you miss a field goal, you have offensive line covering, and they come back in a hurry.
Callum rolls it out with zeros on the clock, and that'll be the final play of a opening half that was certainly full of excitement on Labor Day.
And lots to come, still in the balance.
It's the Bombers by 10. It's the Blue Bombers by 10 at halftime in the Labor Day Classic at Taylor Field, Regina. Let's bring in Ray Morrison.
Danny, let's talk a little bit about your defense. They were able to score a minute 43 and to get it going from their usual suspects. So I guess that's one thing you got to be a little concerned about here.
Well, 4 straight drives, and we made some adjustments, to finally keep them off the board and everything. So now we got to come out and really play shutout football from a defensive standpoint. Offensively, it's only a 10-point game, so we got a lot of time to pull out the W.
Having said that, are you sticking with Nealon here?
Well, I think we're going to make a change right now and go with Henry. Nealon's leg is a little bothered. He's hampered. He's not moving well. So we're going to see if Henry can ignite us a little bit. And if not, then Kevin Glenn may have to play as well.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So there you go. Nealon Green will watch for a while. Henry Burris will have his hands on the football when the Riders' offense is on the field.
And I watched Nealon Green that first half. He looked like he was running well, but oftentimes in a leg injury, you go in and it stiffens up at halftime.
On the return, Saskatchewan looking for a little room. Simon Buffo loses yardage and is inside the 30. There's a penalty flag back at the 40-yard line.
So the crowd will get what they've wanted for a couple of games, and that's to see a little Henry Burris, and maybe with Saskatchewan, not so much so in the Ottawa game in the win, but 2 losses in the last 3, and a lot of people have wanted to see here Henry Burris. Nealon Green has been the starter coming out of camp, and Danny Barrett has not wavered from that one iota.
Nealon Green with 6 completions in 12 attempts, 89 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception in the first half. So that is one of the reasons you think about making a change in a critical game like this.
I think it's his leg more than anything, though, John. And yeah, maybe he could have made a couple more of the plays in the first half, but he certainly hadn't hurt the football team. But you don't want to have him injured and have a leg injury that goes on for more than 1 or 2 weeks. So you're going to be cautious with Nealon Green. They want both healthy, Green and Burris, and there's the numbers that you mentioned after the first half of football.
Free kick by Westwood of the Blue Bombers. And this one is even further out of bounds.
And I mentioned earlier, Henry Burris now has been here for 4 games. This is his 3rd time with the uniform on. 2 games here, 2 weeks on the practice roster.
Legal kickoff, Winnipeg, number 7, Saskatchewan.
The Roughriders will take the field advantage and begin at the 45.
And the crowd loves it. They saw number 10 run on the field, Henry Burris, almost to a man. They stood up, gave him a standing ovation. They love this decision. We'll see how Burris handles this. Hasn't played for a while.
Last game was in NFL Europe back in May. And hasn't really seen much action since he left Saskatchewan. His final year, 4,647 yards, but he had 30 touchdowns in that season, and that's what got everyone in Saskatchewan so excited before he headed to the NFL. Cedric Shaw as Burris.
Well, you mentioned Nealon Green maybe could have made some more plays in the first half, and maybe this was, the one that the coaching staff for the Riders said, when you look at those first half possessions, said, let's give Henry Burris a chance. Green is also favoring that leg a little bit. I know they talked about his health at halftime. And they come out and say, let's see if number 10 can get it done in the second half.
Cedric Shaw has 5, 2nd and 5, Riders at the 50. Burris puts it up for the first time and missed his target. It was Shaw sliding out of the backfield. And Burris put it just a little bit too high.
Yeah, and especially to a running back. A lot of times receivers will make this kind of catch. You see Burris drops back. His very first throw back in the Canadian Football League is a little bit high and over Cedric Shaw's. Now, receivers often come up with that one. It's a little tougher on running back simply because, number one, they wear different pads and they don't catch the ball quite as much as receivers do.
Ladarius Van Deep for the Bombers, back near his 10-yard line.
Boy, Shaw had some room to run, didn't he?
He certainly did have a little space Out to the far side. McCallum puts it down to the 5. Riders special teams had Van absolutely surrounded. A 55-yard punt, 6 on the return. 1st and 10 Winnipeg when we come back. No sacks so far on Labor Day in Regina, but when we get some, Purelator will contribute the quarterback's weight to the Regina Food Bank. So far, several tons have been donated as a result of quarterback sacks in the CFL, courtesy of Purelator and the Tackle Hunger Program. Bombers are hemmed in deep, beginning inside the 15 with a 1st down. First possession for Winnipeg. Good fake, and Jones connects with Stiegel out near the 20. He's forced back, so the spot will be rather interesting here.
And that Rider defense very close to that one, but Kahari Jones came out in that first half, and that first drive really set the tone for his offense. Went right down the field, finished with the major.
Stiegel gets credit for an 11-yard reception, 1st down. Good fake by Jones. Didn't fool everyone, and he was forced to fire it away in a hurry. Terrence Melton was right on top of him.
I talked about that first drive for the Bombers setting the tone for them. Look at the first 3 drives. Tremendous production right there. They had the 1 interception, a great play by Jackie Mitchell to snuff out the drive, and that was in scoring range. Came back with a full field goal.
Blue Bombers lead at 20-10. 2nd and 10 Winnipeg. From the 23. Jones takes a hit.
Did he ever? He was nailed.
Stoddard was the target, and Jones hammered by Terrence Melton. That's 2 plays in a row that Melton has been in his face.
And John, when you're talking about this game, the game of football, not just the Canadian version, it doesn't matter. That's the good stuff right there. That's what it's all about. 2 big plays back-to-back from Terrence Melton. He was the one who cut Kahari Jones off on that first down and then got him there to rush the throw.
Corey Holmes is deep. Westwood's punt comes down near the 50. Holmes ran into one of his own players and was stalled on that drive.
Everybody wants to be the quarterback.
Until Terrence Melton comes into your neighborhood. Down by 10, Saskatchewan head coach Danny Barrett has made the change. Burris is in at quarterback. Here's Ray Morrison.
Danny Barrett only enjoyed Travis Moore for a short time off of his leg injury. He has now gone to hospital for x-rays on that cheekbone. The visor he wears came down and shattered his cheek. He went for stitches. Ivan Goodfriend just told me that he had to go to hospital for further examination, guys.
Here's Burris at the controls, and that's complete near midfield.
Now they're going to wave it off.
Oh, Corey Holmes didn't hang on.
Show you early in the first half and talk about Travis Moore. It's a big loss to the Riders lineup. Right there is where he was hit by Maurice Kelly, and that visor he wears went off the mask and jammed down into his cheek. Initially thought it was just a cut. They're going to take a look at that closer at the hospital and do some x-rays. So Travis Moore not available to Henry Burris as he tries to get things going for the Riders.
Hey, watch the draw, Lamar.
Travis Moore had 3 receptions before going out, a couple of critical ones, in fact. 2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. Burris shotgun. Far side. Almost picked off as he looked for Corey Grant.
Raheem Covington, who is the extra defensive back, was not counted by Henry Burris. He tried to throw that long, wide field out. Now, Henry Burris spent the last 2 years in the National Football League with Chicago and Green Bay. He's got to go back and remember how wide this field is in Canada. We're talking 65 yards, and that is a long throw. Marcel Belfay went over there and said, remember, it's a little bit longer. than the one you've been used to over the last couple of years.
Yeah, plus 15. Charles Roberts returning for the Blue Bombers. Finds a little seam. Reggie Hunt in on the tackle after a 15-yard return. Ready for a 1st and 10 Winnipeg. Beginning at the Bomber 34. Charles Roberts. And the hole closed up in a hurry. Shante Peoples and Marcus Adams were there waiting.
Danny Barrett at halftime had mentioned that there was some adjustments made with the Rider defense after the first 3 series from the Winnipeg offense. And the adjustments, it looks to me, is that the front 7 is more conscious of the outside now. They're cutting off those cutback lanes in the middle, but while doing that, they're stretching the field. They're widening and making sure they keep all those running plays contained in a smaller area.
Loss of 4. 2nd and 14 Winnipeg. Passing down for Kahari Jones. Near side. Catch is made at the 50. Robert Gordon gets into the action. His first catch of the day.
A big one because he had Davin Bush on him, and Davin Bush lost the football. The advantage the receiver always has, he knows where he's going, and the defensive back has to try and adjust on the fly. Now, as Bush turns around here, he loses the ball. Tremendous concentration from Robert Gordon to pull it in.
Lots of weapons for the Blue Bombers offense, without question. Gordon closing in on 600 receiving yards on the season, 4 touchdowns, and a 31-yard gain there. Bombers across midfield into Saskatchewan territory. Winnipeg leading 20-10. Another long toss, and Van was the target that time. McCullough was covering.
So when you look at the Riders defensively, the guys up front, Shante Peoples, Nate Davis, the big guys are way more conscious in the run game of containment, trying to keep Charles Roberts, Mike Sellers, and Kahari Jones all in that box, which is about 7 yards wide. Keep them in there.
And this group struggled last week against the run in the loss to the Eskimos. 2nd and 10. Jones gets it away in a hurry, and he'll have a first down. Milt Stiegel coming up with a catch as he spun around at the Saskatchewan 35.
Well, and what the Riders have also done is sent Terrace Milton into the blitz package a little bit more, number 37. And of course, Kahari Jones reads this one perfectly, and right where Terrence Milton left, that's where he threw the football. The chess game continues.
And a 15-yard gain for Stiegel. Blue Bomber march continues now at the Saskatchewan 35. Charles Roberts off right tackle. And he's close to another Blue Bomber first down, or at least within a yard or so. Reggie Hunt on the tackle.
But with all of the weapons here, even if the Riders have adjusted, they widen and they control the run a little bit better. Then they got to deal with Robert Gordon. And then Gordon makes a big catch. And then if you could control Gordon a little bit, you got to deal with Milt Stiegel.
Well, they come back to Stiegel.
And then they go back to Stiegel. And hey, Jamie Stoddard's made some nice catches in this game. A lot of weapons, that Blue Bomber football team.
It's a 7-yard gain. This is 2nd and 3. Big play for the Riders defense. Charles Roberts again. It'll be a first down. Winnipeg, he's still going. Roberts looks to the end zone. He'll get down to about the 2. And then Roberts back to back.
That's pawn to rook 4 check for Winnipeg. Not checkmate, yes. Not checkmate just yet. And you could see Charles Roberts sneak out here. This is where he's going to try and run the football right there to the right side, and he breaks one tackle right at the point of attack. Terrence Milton cuts all the way back. One missed tackle turns into a big, big game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who now have the Riders in check.
I'm better at checkers. When do they get the crown?
Checkmate's till the end of the game. We've got to wait, so hang in there.
Not this time. Reggie Hunt stands up. This is the guy who set a record for tackles in a game against the Blue Bombers a few weeks back with 16.
and he leads the football team with 49 tackles coming into this one. Reggie Hunt is right there. Let's just follow him and watch him play the linebacker position the way it's supposed to be played. Slide to the point of attack, step into the hole, and lower the boom.
Charles Roberts definitely felt that. He's still down.
That is how you tackle. Lower the hips, drive into the shoulder pad area, and just put the running back on his back. Boy, on that play, there were helmets rolling in the backfield. Little emotion when they play on Labor Day weekend. You know, he had those 16 tackles. Charles Roberts still hasn't got up from that last one. 16 tackles the last time they played, and of course, that's a CFL record. He got some publicity because of it, and then the Bombers quickly said, well, yeah, he made 16 tackles, but we rushed for over 200 yards.
And we had all those first downs, and we won the game.
That's right. So they wanted to quickly make that point, but they have been banging these two. And there's another example with Reggie Hunt of a converted defensive back who moves up into the linebacking core. He's great in the passing game, but can also step up and make some big hits. And Charles Roberts has still not got up from the last one from Reggie Hunt. I mean, this is textbook, folks. In the hole and bang.
Elowanibi's helmet rolling in across the goal line.
Helmets flying. Guys walking off. Having to adjust equipment. Finding mouth guards on the field.
Two spare parts down there that are back in place, like helmets and mouth guards. Current drive back at the 34.
It's got to be Labor Day weekend in Regina.
It is that. The Bombers are still in position here, looking at second and goal to go from the 1. And Charles Roberts may be out, but they get another couple of cracks at it. They have big Mike Sellers in the backfield. Goal to go, Blue Bombers on second down. Untouched. Sellers has the touchdown. Really unchallenged at the goal line.
He was, and sometimes you get down on the one line, you don't get many chances to tackle Sellers. That was well done by that offensive line. Eric Wilson, Dave Mudge. You see how they collapse it down inside. Dave Mudge really led the way as he kind of opened up the hole to the right side, and Sellers was not touched.
4th touchdown of the year for Mike Sellers as the Bombers open a commanding lead. Charles Roberts took it much of the way. Milt Stegall helped out a little bit. But when it came down to the final play, it was Mike Sellers into the end zone. Putting it fairly, you can't stop this guy from 1 yard out, can you?
Well, most of the time he will get it on his own, and he will be able to just run over for 1 yard whoever's trying to tackle him. In this case, though, he got some help from his offensive line. As you can see, Mike Sellers walked in standing up. Really no contact on Sellers on the line of scrimmage. So when that happens to a running back, they go and thank their offensive lineman.
He is a huge fullback, 260 plus pounds. Short kick. Bouncing near the 30, it's Corey Holmes looking for room, and he's tripped up. And the first Blue Bomber downfield, that's Brian Clark.
And that touchdown by Mike Sellers, Dave Mudge made not 1 but 2 blocks. Watch Mudge, he's right here in the lineup. I'm going to show you why he made 2. One on Marcus Adams as he turns Adams to the inside. Hold it right there, guys. But look at how Mitchell now has to bubble around his legs down there. As he bubbles wide of the play and then has to try and cut back on Mike Sellers. So Dave Mudge makes 2 blocks, 1 physically and 1 just by his body position.
It's time for the Roughriders offense to get untracked again. Down by 17. Henry Burris looking deep and just a little too far at Dominguez.
You know,
was the intended receiver.
John, you can see just a little bit of the rust that is really should be expected from Henry Burris. There's no question that he will get back to his form if he gets more chances to play. Nealon Green did not return the second half, largely due to a leg injury that's been bothering him. And when you look at those numbers, a little bit of lack of production.
I think you've got to give me a little credit for that.
Okay, I'll give you a bit.
You just waved me off completely, and I said 89 yards passing.
I'll give you a bit, partner. Okay. But there will be some rust on Henry Burris, and I think we're seeing a little of that right now.
Meantime, Burris is 0 for 4. Heat's on now. Burris throwing on the run. Dominguez.
It's Dominguez. Nice big target, and if Henry Burris wants to get on track, that might be the guy he's got to go to, especially with Travis Moore out of the lineup. You can see he tries to thread the needle and does. Dominguez catches it not once but twice. And will just be a little bit short. He was pushed back a couple of yards after the fact, and it's because he didn't get forward progress because he juggled it the first time. He didn't have control till he went down.
He's a yard shy, so McCallum comes in. Dominguez is the Roughriders' leading receiver, but he's far more effective when he has Travis Moore as a running mate, or at least a receiving mate. Ladarius Van snowed under, retreated, and then lost about 5 more yards. Riders special teams playing with a little enthusiasm here.
Guys, Charles Roberts is coming back in on that last series down by the Saskatchewan goal line. He was just winded, took a shot in the stomach, but has caught his breath and is going to be back out on offense.
Well, with the hit he took, he's lucky it was just winded because that was a big one from Reggie Hunt. But I'll tell you what, he is pound for pound as tough as they come when you're talking about just 171 pounds and 5'6". I mean, that's jockey size, not football player size, and he's as tough as they come.
And here he goes. Charles Roberts again, another Blue Bomber first down. Darnell Edwards had to come up from his safety spot to make the tackle, but Edwards was no match there.
He did, John, because of the fake. Kahari Jones here on the reverse to Ladarius Van. That fake spread out the Rider defense in a big way and opened up the big running lanes in the middle. They were so concerned with reverse and trying to widen out that they left gaping holes in the middle of the defense. And when Charles Roberts gets to the safety, you know he's picked up some yards.
127 rushing yards for the Bombers so far. Roberts has most of it, 17 in the previous play. Big Mike Sellers, Marcus Adams made the tackle.
Now talk about chess games and one-on-one matchups. We've seen a couple here, and Reggie Hunt on Charles Roberts is as good as it gets. And Roberts now churning up some yards. We saw the big hit from Reggie Hunt. Who wins the next battle? 95 yards rushing so far for Charles Roberts.
Second and 5. Sellers stopped well short of a first down. Met there by Reggie Hunt.
Well, Reggie Hunt took a break from his Charles Roberts matchup to slide across and make that big tackle on Mike Sellers. Great quickness to the point of attack. He's in coverage. In a man-to-man situation, linebackers usually take the running backs. And Hunt makes a nice tackle in the open field, not allowing Sellers to get his shoulder pads turned north and south.
Kevin Nickerson. Deep for Saskatchewan. Fine punt by Westwood. And Nickerson is stopped in his tracks. Lost a couple on the return. Harold Nash celebrating there. Veteran on special teams. 0-0 having another big night. Well, there you go. U.S. Open tennis followed by Sports Center.
Well,
that's after the Riders.
See, down there that's our promo. Up there is what the Winnipeg fans, they'd like to promote tennis as well. Reggie Hunt fan in the crowd as well.
Well, the Riders are going to have to go some to make that come true. Saskatchewan without a first down in the second half.
Danny Barrett at halftime said he was making the change. We've seen Henry Burris, but he also mentioned we may even go to Kevin Glenn. And it's interesting that he does mention that when you see the rust that Henry Burris has on him right now. He's just not quite as sharp as he should be. And at what point do we see Kevin Glenn is the next question.
Glenn was in for one play and got a first down.
And Nealon Green is likely out of the picture now because as long as he stands on that sideline, that leg will stiffen up more and more, and he becomes a non-factor.
2nd and 4. Burris overthrew his receiver. Jason French, and rust is a nice way to put it. I thought he might have had a chance to run for the first down there.
Well, he may have, and he might try to be making more out of a play than it's really there, you know, and losing a little patience. There's no question some rust on him. He hasn't played under real action for quite some time. He's got the bullets flying around, and he's just not been sharp. And timing is really the biggest factor involved. When you do it in practice is one thing. Doing it in a game, totally different.
4th time the Riders have gone 2 and out. McCallum's punt is not deep, but he gets a good roll out of it as Van waits for it near the 28. Riders had him well covered, and Winnipeg will begin inside the 30-yard line as Omar Morgan was there. The rematch at Commonwealth in Edmonton. Friday Night Football. Stampeders and the Eskimos.
Well, that's a guaranteed great game and great matchup. The panel will be there as well in Edmonton. And then, hey, Wendy's CFL Live on Sunday. Toronto in a race now in the East. Ottawa, big win over the Montreal Alouettes. And that tied them in the standings for second.
The Argonauts in Hamilton tomorrow for the
That's right.
Labor Day Classic against the Tiger Cats.
And that one, even though the Ticats have struggled, they play great on Labor Day. Their whole park.
Bombers have played a terrific afternoon of football and into the evening here at Taylor Field in Regina. Charles Roberts appears to be okay. Shante Peoples was there to make the stop on Roberts after a 5-yard gain.
You know, a lot of Charles Roberts' runs have been after first contact, and a lot of his yards tonight after first contact. The Riders are putting people in position, but it's just that one move. Reggie Hunt has had a couple of shots on him, but not enough, and his numbers are starting to grow as we speak.
He's at 100 now. Kahari Jones looking deep. Coverage was too good from Bush, and a flag is down. Not in that area, but back at the line. Looks like this is going against Saskatchewan on an offside call.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 99. 2nd down, repeat it.
And that not only gives the Bombers the 2nd down over, but it gets them a little bit closer to that marker, which allows them to run the ball for a first down if they so choose. And those running numbers for Winnipeg, once again, starting to add up, which has got to be a concern for Danny Barrett. No question they wanted balance, Winnipeg did in their offense. Now they're closing in on 150 yards rushing as a team.
This should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. No penalty flags are down. Bombers get about 4 more there from Mike Sellers. And that is quarter number 3. The Bombers continue to dominate the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Labor Day at Taylor Field. Labor Day at Taylor Field in Regina. We've cranked up the heat a little bit, and the Blue Bombers have come to town ready for a football game, leading by 17 heading into the final quarter here. Charles Roberts, caught from behind. Shante Peoples again.
Well, they need the Rider defense right now.
They need to get the ball right here, don't they?
They need more plays from Shante Peoples in the front four, just like that one in this last quarter, because against the run, the numbers for Winnipeg are starting to stack up. In the last 3 games, the Roughriders have given up 174 yards rushing per game, way above what they did in the first part of the season. It's got to be concern for Saskatchewan. Remember, against this team early in the year, it was over 250.
Gain is only 1. This is 2nd and 9. Huge play for the Saskatchewan defense here. Kahari Jones got it away at the last second. It's Sellers with a head of steam and another Winnipeg first down. And that's the way it's gone for the Blue Bombers much of the afternoon. They had them, and they couldn't drop them.
And that is the type of play that just takes a knife and puts it right through the heart of the Rider defense, because they had Kahari Jones bottled up. Terrence Melton had him. All the linebackers pinched in. They thought they had the sack and were getting the football back. He found a way to get it out to Sellers. And oh, baby, a huge first down. And that one hurts.
Bombers out near midfield again.
If you're a Saskatchewan Roughrider, and this is the one I'm talking about more than anything, 139 rushing for Winnipeg, approaching 150 on the game.
On first down after a 14-yard gain, they go to the other guy, Charles Roberts. He's got at least 9. We'll see where they spot the ball.
And those are the yards, again, that we're talking about with Charles Roberts. See, Darnell Edwards stepped up in there and had a chance to hold Roberts for about 3 or 4. And Roberts made a miss. I mean, he makes the best of a miss because of his quickness at the point of attack. But 4 turns into 6, 7, or 8, and it puts your defense in a bind.
Bombers leading 27-10. How about Charles Roberts and those numbers? 294 yards in a couple of games against Winnipeg. 186 in the first. And then they counter with Mike Sellers.
You know, in fairness to Darnell Edwards, it's his first start, and he's not been the only one to have some tackling problems in the hole in the point of attack, and they've not been those big misses where the running back takes off for a 70-yard run. But it's been enough on first down, especially to put the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2nd and short. And that's really when you see those rushing numbers continue to grow is the benefit. 2nd and short is where you want to be.
And on 2nd and short, that last play, Sellers still picks up 6 yards. He needed 1. Sellers again. Terrence Melton is having a busy afternoon in the middle.
First 7 games, this Rider defense was giving up 98.8 yards per game. That's less than 100 per game, and that's where you want to be. And in the last 3, 174 against the Bombers the last time, over 250. This is the concern defensively for Saskatchewan right now.
2nd and 5, Winnipeg. Jones will put it up. And Van will make the catch at the 35.
But talk about the size. If the Winnipeg Blue Bombers can hang on and win this football game and keep this lead as they continue to march down the field. Talk about big wins for an organization. Winnipeg has come back, won 3 games in a row, but don't often win on Labor Day weekend here in Taylor Field.
Riders have won 7 of the last 10 Labor Day matchups against Winnipeg. But the Bombers have put it to them so far this afternoon. 41-yard field goal try from Troy Westwood. He's 2 for 2. He's 3 for 3. Everything is going right for the Blue Bombers in the race for first place in the CFL West. Well, the biggest game of Danny Barrett's coaching career in Saskatchewan has not gone according to the Roughriders game plan. So far, there's time to come back from the lead the Blue Bombers have at 20 points. However, it's a long way back the way the Bombers have been playing both sides of the ball.
And Dave Ritchie has to be very proud of his football team, not just here in this game tonight, but the last 4 weeks now. It really looked like the Bombers of a year ago.
Burris has Corey Grant, and Grant is stopped a little shy of the first down by Raheem Covington. Record crowd for Labor Day here at Taylor Field. Lots of green paint, and tonight's ultimate fan, Doreen Bonagotsky of Regina. She wins a trip for 2 to Grey Cup 2003, courtesy of Fritos.
And
nothing
she got
satisfies like Fritos.
She got a little crazy there. Lost the helmet.
And our search for the ultimate fan continues Friday night in Edmonton. Now, a moment ago she had a hat on, and it looked like there was a wedding veil sticking out the back. I don't suppose she got married yesterday and just got here to the game in time to win.
I certainly hope she didn't wear that outfit at the wedding, if she did.
Although if she did, there's one gutsy guy who married her, I'll tell you that.
Although it fits in well here this evening. And she's going to the Grey Cup. It's a shorter trip for her than for most who win.
Well, there's only one place like it to watch a football game. Taylor Field, Regina, is something special. Meanwhile, the Riders are trying to come back from a huge deficit and took too long getting the ball in play there on first down.
Again, more of the rust from Henry Burris. It's just, the quarterback controls that. He controls the clock. Yes, he does have to get the signal from the sideline.
Saskatchewan, number 10, still second down.
But he has to be aware of all those factors as he approaches the line of scrimmage and try and keep that football moving and snap it in time. And, Matt Dunnigan mentioned it. Putting Henry Burris in, he's just possibly not quite ready to go in live action just yet.
And you're talking about rust. You're talking about
Absolutely.
Any kind of game experience. Underhand, Burris to Zarka. Improvising there, but it was 1st and 15, so Zarka is short of a first down.
Well, that's a good sign, though, for Rider fans that maybe Burris is becoming a little more relaxed every snap he takes. That little underhand pass as he improvises to the outside to Chris Zarka, just a sign that he's relaxed and settled in. He's got the Bombers chasing him, running him down, and he just underhands it to Zarka for a nice gain.
Injury timeout at Taylor Field. We'll take a break with the Blue Bombers on top, 30-10. So far on Labor Day, Bomber fans are winning the day. Coming up when we're done, the U.S. Open Tennis Championship continues. Our live coverage right after football this afternoon.
Now, you think the fans will be dressed the same for the tennis?
No, it's it is New York, though.
You never know.
2nd and 3, big first down, Saskatchewan. Cedric Shaw ran into Harold Nash, who upended him. 8:19 to play.
Back it up, fellas, back it up. This Rider offense has been rolling along pretty well all season. They have balance as well in the running game from Shaw and the boys. And Winnipeg has done a nice job. They stepped in, they've got the play up front. They're always solid in the middle with Doug Brown and Denny Fortney, allowing the linebackers to flow. Terry Ray back in the lineup has helped in a big way. And I mentioned earlier the year that David Benefield has been having. You combine it all between Ray's addition and how he's flying around to the football and the versatility he brings. It's really come together tonight for the Bombers.
Harold Nash is the injured Blue Bomber, and that's why there's a quick timeout on the field. If Winnipeg manages to hang on and win this game, and it feels pretty comfortable for Bomber fans right now, I'm sure, they would have the season series on Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to the final drive for playoff positioning in the West, and it really gets dicey there for the Roughriders if they come up with their 2nd straight loss here.
Well, when you look at this game tonight, the Bombers are running the football effectively, and they have 174 to this point. Charles Roberts, 124 of them.
Almost all Charles Roberts. Burris, 3 of 8. in his first appearance, and Chris Zarka, 9th touchdown of the season. The game story brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's largest sporting goods retailer. Sport Check, the best value. So Harold Nash is off for 3 plays at least. And Burris may work in his area. He has Corey Grant, and Grant looked to be pretty close to a first down. Raheem Covington was with him.
And, you know, it won't take long for Henry Burris to settle in. And you can even tell by the last 3 or 4 plays that he's getting more and more confidence. He's got a chance now to call the plays on the line. Not a lot of time to think about that rust that he's trying to brush off and just kind of continue to move the football. Now, they'll have to take a break here while they measure this one. But every throw and every snap, Henry Burris looks a little bit more comfortable. He may just have run out of time in this one tonight.
Grant has the first down. Just.
But you mentioned that tight race in the West, John, and it goes first of all overall record, and then if there's ties, the points, you go after that, it's points for and against.
Burris is wrapped up. First sack of the game. David Benefield is there.
Hasn't been a lot of sacks tonight. One of the first in the game, in fact the first, but back in the standings when you go head-to-head against the team and then in a tie, you're right, the Bombers win this series. Pressure from the right side and then Benefield from the opposite side as Burris tries to step up from the right side pressure. He steps into the arms of David Benefield.
7th sack of the season for David Benefield. Burris looks at second and a whole bunch throwing on the run. There's a flag down as French makes the catch. Maurice Kelly was on top of him immediately.
Yeah, well, Benefield got a sack, so Corey Holmes was told in the huddle, do whatever you have to do to make sure that Benefield doesn't get another sack. So Corey Holmes says, okay, do whatever I have to do to make sure I get, okay, so I'm going to, well, I'll just pull him down and throw him on the ground. And
was
that's
the call?
That's
the penalty. Think that was holding?
That's the penalty. Holding, tackling, and a takedown by Corey Holmes.
Holding. Saskatchewan, number 19. Decline. 3rd down.
Benefield, the lineman of the month for August, as we told you a little earlier. He's really come on in the last few weeks. 7th sack right there. 4 tackles for losses. 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown last week against the Calgary Stampeders. Timeout Saskatchewan here.
Saskatchewan, 702, number 10.
Last time these two teams played was July 10th. It came down to a 55-yard field goal by Troy Westwood on the last play of the game.
Charles Roberts was dominant there too.
Yeah, and that's the difference, right? And you can see Charles Roberts' rushing yards, 186, over 250 as a team from the Bombers, and they've done it again tonight. And tonight it's been control the line of scrimmage, control the football, rush effectively, concern for Danny Barrett, who's run defense right now.
2 weeks in a row. It's been a problem. Maybe 3 weeks in a row looking back. The Riders go gambling on 3rd and 13. They're out of time. Burris can't hook up with Matt Dominguez.
He wanted to throw behind, and Dominguez wanted the ball to go deep down into the end zone.
Less than 7 minutes to go. A long afternoon for the Riders on home turf. Time now to vote for the Rogers AT&T Wireless Player of the Game, and here's how you can do it. On the internet, CFL.ca, by text messaging. Go CFL. Nominations would include Charles Roberts, I think, which would be W1 if you wanted to vote that way, or W17 for Kahari Jones.
He's called a very good game. How about an offensive lineman for the first time ever? When you get that kind of rushing yards, the offensive line playing well. Dave Mudge having a big game tonight as well.
So it's a turnover, and the Bombers have the ball back with a 20-point lead. Charles Roberts continues to march along. Jackie Mitchell making the tackle there.
But, John, I got a hunch that the man who is, for Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans, number 1 in your heart, number 1 in your program,
Yeah. Well,
Charles Roberts.
112 rushing yards, 15 receiving yards. Total that up quickly for me, pal. There you go.
A bunch.
127.
Okay, there you go.
I thought I handed you.
Well, you
scribbled
it down. I couldn't read your writing.
Harry Jones has Charles Roberts again.
Here comes some more.
Huge yardage for Roberts here. After making the catch, he's down to the 40, and McCullough finally forced him out. I think he's going to get a few votes for player of the game.
Well, for some of the big guys on defense have had to play against Charles Roberts, kind of like a bull chasing a rabbit. I mean, he's tiny, and he gets outside, and he can hide in behind offensive linemen. That's what he does there. And then watch how he cuts back left and cuts back right, and kind of runs around 3 or 4 Saskatchewan Roughriders. Just not forget about trying to tackle him. How about trying to find him first?
28 yards more. He's at 155. And the Bombers are 1st and 10 at the Saskatchewan 40. Mike Sellers. Marcus Adams made the tackle, and Sellers has done his job.
Well, you know, Charles Roberts' production for a couple games declined a little bit offensively, and that was because Mike Sellers was out of the lineup due to injury. That's how important Mike Sellers is to the running game, not just when he carries the ball as the changeup, but also blocking, because the fullback is always the lead blocker in the running game. And when you've got a guy who's as athletic as Mike Sellers at 275, boy, opens up some big holes.
3 receivers to the near side for the Blue Bombers on 2nd and 5. It's Roberts on the ground, and he won't get to first down territory this time. Scott Schultz over to make the tackle with less than 5 minutes to go. And it'll be back to the drawing board for the Saskatchewan Roughriders after back-to-back losses.
Well, here's their concern more than anything. We talked about the rushing yards they've given up. A bunch again tonight, a bunch versus Winnipeg in July, and last week versus Edmonton, almost 200 yards rushing against Danny Barrett's defense. Okay, that's his #1 concern. Now, with 5 minutes left, what he can do is leave Henry Burris in the game to get some valuable reps.
Troy Westwood, 3 for 3 tonight. This from 40 yards. And he's on the money again. Remembering back to the first meeting between these two teams this year, it was Westwood with a 55-yarder for a 29-27 win back on July 10th.
First drive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Gahari Jones set the tone. Mixed things up, used play action, and on that fake to Charles Roberts, took that one in the end zone. Once they'd established the play action, then they went back to the running game, and that's where Charles Roberts took over.
21-yard touchdown for Roberts there. And the Bombers were in flight. It's a 20-point advantage for Dave Ritchie's team. Add 3 more to that. Make it 23. Corey Grant couldn't hang on to that. So what does this do for a quarterbacking controversy that was simmering?
Well, you know, what it does is it solidifies, in my mind, Nealon Green as the starting quarterback, as long as he is healthy. And I know there is concern over that leg injury. They certainly want to be careful because they want him healthy the whole way, but it does. It solidifies him as the starter. Henry Burris will get back to form, but he will take some time to do so.
He was definitely off form in the second half when he did get into the game. Burris.
And I know, John, you talked about his lack of production. I'm talking Nealon Green, his lack of production in that first half, but I'm pretty much sure that Danny Barrett would have left Green in the game in the second half had he been 100% healthy. And I really believe it's that leg injury he's more concerned about than the lack of production in the first half of play where he only had 89 yards passing.
Nickerson made the catch for the first down. Dominguez couldn't bring that one down. And less than 3 minutes to go on Labor Day at Taylor Field in Regina. 40,000 plus on hand Not much to cheer about for Saskatchewan fans. Tennis, the U.S. Open following football here from Taylor Field. This week, 25 years since Animal House had the first toga party on campus of the university.
That's the green version.
And that's the Riders toga party here. Burris. Corey Grant one-handed. Was he in bounds? Yes. This was a beauty. This was absolutely outstanding.
Well, it was a very nice catch by Corey Grant, who struggled over the last few weeks in this Rider offense a little bit, and gets that left foot just inside the line and never ever touches the football with the other hand.
16 yards. The Riders needed plays like that a little bit earlier in this one. They're down 33-10. Burris takes out the second time he's run with the ball. He's coming up a little short, going down after a 6-yard gain.
We talked about the concerns for Danny Barrett, but this is something that will be a positive for him. The fact that Henry Burris is allowed to stay in this game, pretty much out of reach as far as the score goes when you look at the line score at the bottom of your screen. But to have these reps for Henry Burris, very valuable as this season progresses.
They call it a 7-yard gain now, and that'll be enough for a first down. Corey Holmes.
You know, when you talk about players of the game and who's really stepped up, it's hard to really find one defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and that's a good thing, because what that means is they played well as a unit, and if a defense plays well as a unit, boy, they are awfully tough to beat.
A little early movement from Charles Thomas, the left tackle. So 2:20 to go. The Bombers have this one wrapped up with a 23-point lead.
Well, Saskatchewan puts that much more.
Saskatchewan 53. Repeat first down.
Saskatchewan now with a lot more pressure on them in that western side. When you think about the race for first place in the West, tons of pressure on them now. They'll drop to 6-5, and the Bombers put some pressure on the Eskimos for tomorrow on Labor Day.
Burris missed there. The Eskimos at 7-3, so temporarily at least, the Blue Bombers move into first place at 8-3, and BC,
well,
7-3 with a bye this week.
Should we do it?
Yeah, add it in.
Okay.
Nice 8.
Okay. And they go up here. So there you go.
That's one of your better 8s.
Well, thank you very much. There you go. Now, the Bombers, I think the last time we did that, there was a tremendous, huge comeback, and it all changed. But I think we're safe to do it right now. The Bombers have played well from start to finish on both sides of the ball. You know, and one of the things that the Saskatchewan Roughriders coming into this game were sort of leaning on was their play on special teams, and the Bombers contained them in that area as well.
Offside, Winnipeg, 97, still second down.
I mean, heading into this game, Danny Barrett on his teams had over 500 return yards in the last 2 games, so he felt that his teams were providing some offense, and they were over 2 games. But that Bomber special team unit, cover units, have shut the door there as well.
Second and 10, Saskatchewan. Burris has Zarka. Zarka heads to the end zone. Yes!
Could there be the miraculous comeback?
That's 2 touchdowns for Zarka. And that's 10 on the season. And that is his longest.
You know, and the Riders at this point, you know, they're playing against a Winnipeg defense that are a little more relaxed, shall we say, than they were to start this football game, and take advantage of that as Zarka catches that screen and rumbles in, and they'll go for 2 points, of course, back as far as they are. 33-16. will go for the onside kick after this convert attempt, because they need not one, but 2 possessions.
So on the scoreboard right now, Bombers 33, Saskatchewan 16. 2-point attempt to come. Flags down on the coverage.
I think he caught it
anyway.
I don't think it matters. That was way.
Jason French.
That was on the opposite side of our spotters booth up here. And I think Jason French pulled that down.
Well, he did, yes, as it shows now.
Yeah, they declined that, and they'll just take the 2-point convert and get just a little bit closer. That's a nice catch. So he turns back and certainly does hang on. You see it clearly from that angle. Jason French had to turn all the way back around on Dave Donaldson, comes up with a nice one. So Riders 2-point closer. This is that touchdown by Zarka. Nice play as they set up the screen. You see the big guys get out front. 3 of the Riders to set up a nice, big, huge picket fence down the sideline. Maybe picket fence is the wrong way to describe it when it's offensive linemen, but...
And this for 2.
That's a nice catch by French. 2 nice catches in that drive, one by French and one by Corey Grant.
Yeah, Corey Grant, the one-hander to keep the drive going.
So now one of my favorite plays in football is the onside kick, because it's like a fire drill in a lot of ways. And that first wave of Saskatchewan Roughriders, the idea is to knock over anybody you can and allow someone in behind the first wave to come up with the recovery.
33-18, Blue Bombers.
They load it up here, John. They load it up here, and somewhere in the middle there's going to be one heck of a collision.
Really, it's a jump ball. McCallum under it. The Bombers have it. Lamar McGriggs took it on the fly, and that will likely end it for Saskatchewan hopes, unless the defense turns it over in a heck of a hurry. Lamar McGriggs.
See that front line, John, they won that war. I talked about the battle there, and every football game is made up of a whole bunch of battles, and this line right here is the first wave for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in this onside kick. They take on that first wave of the Riders, and in that battle, the white shirts win, allowing Lamar McGriggs to recover the football, and if you win enough of those battles, you win the war.
Bombers by 15, and they continue to pound Charles Roberts in there. Darnell Edwards coming up to make the tackle.
Hari Jones, not spectacular numbers, but he really didn't need them in this game because of the play of his running backs,
well,
Charles Roberts and Michael Sellers. And Mike Sellers more in a blocking role, but between the two of them, they churned up a bunch of yards along the ground.
Second down. Bombers need 7 for a first down. They're in field goal range already, and that could put it out of reach. Charles Roberts escapes again. Finally caught from behind. That's Darnell Edwards,
and
who knows that he has been in a football game here this afternoon.
A lot of credit there goes to Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator, Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's got all the bullets in his gun, and now he's got his holsters on. Charles Roberts healthy. Mike Sellers back in the lineup. Moved Robert Gordon to the inside. Now all those bullets are flying now.
And Kahari Jones
back on track, playing with confidence.
And yes, playing with confidence, I think is a good way to put it. What's LaPolice doing?
He's athletic. He wants to go and take a look at exactly how far they are for the first down.
It's a yard and a bit. He's measured it now.
Now that's one of the most athletic offensive coordinators you can see move around there on the sideline. That's pretty good quickness. Moving laterally. Never satisfied. Coaches never are. I mean, whether they got a huge lead and or they're behind, and it doesn't matter if it's the opening kickoff or the final gun. They're always concerned about their particular unit. And for Paul LaPolice, it's the offense.
Troy Westwood lines up for a 30-yarder. He's 4 for 4. And a perfect
John,
night.
It's right about now when that group of fans in the corner of the stadium that make the trip from Winnipeg, they start singing the song and playing in 11 of these Labor Day Classics. This group over here start to sing a song that I used to hate.
Can you hum us a few bars of it?
Na 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 goodbye,
Oh,
something
goodbye,
like that.
Yeah.
And because there's so much intensity and excitement surrounding this game before the ball is even kicked off, I mean, the whole city is a giant part of the entire weekend of fans pointing the finger, we're number one, you're number one. We couldn't walk out of the lobby without blue shirts coming, hey, talk about the Bombers now, and then the green guys over there, and then, hey, talk about the Riders. The fans love to get into this battle, and Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans are having some fun right now, and will tonight, I guarantee you.
Well, that's what it's all about. The football fans on the prairies. Here's Burris on first down. This is a rocket. Dominguez was the target, no catch. He was out of bounds. Kelly was covering there. Now, Charles Roberts might have slipped into the rushing lead in the CFL as a result of his performance here.
Well, he just goes ahead of Mike Pringle, but remember, Mike Pringle plays tomorrow.
Well, there was only 1 yard separating them. Pringle had a 1 yard advantage coming into this, so Roberts lays down the gauntlet. We'll see if Pringle responds in Calgary tomorrow afternoon.
And you know, when the game's still got a minute to play, that's a sign right there that you have a comfortable lead.
When the players are signing autographs for their fans?
Your star receiver and your star running back are allowed to go over and sign a few autographs over by the home fans.
1:01 to go. Second down. Holmes made the catch and went down in a heap, well short of the first down. Blue Bombers did not overnight in Regina. They moved straight on to Moose Jaw, where they found a little more peace and quiet over there. So maybe that's a solution to the Blue Bombers' Labor Day problems here.
You can bet they'll probably do that every year from here on in.
So the healing waters of those famous spas of Moose Jaw might have had a little something to do with the Bombers' success here this afternoon. Burris for the first down. He needed 5.
Alan, just as you watch this game, I think Danny Barrett will have less of a quarterback controversy to deal with than he did coming into it. And there always seems to be one here in Regina, but I think it'll be less intense this coming week. Henry Burris certainly has rust on him, and if Nealon Green is healthy, he will start next week.
23 seconds to go. Penalty markers are down again. Burris as Kevin Nickerson and Tim Carter, who's had a pretty good ball game for Winnipeg, limits the gain to a couple. So again, the standings will show the Blue Bombers atop the heap in the West, pending the outcome of the Eskimos and the Stampeders tomorrow. And the BC Lions also at 7-3 going into this weekend have the bye, so they'll have to catch up to Winnipeg a little later on. And the Eskimos will try and do so tomorrow. Saskatchewan drops to 6-5. That loss last week in Edmonton dropped Saskatchewan from a tie for first all the way to 4th, and that's where they'll sit heading into next week.
Well, and I'm John, certainly not. Jason French, another nice catch there, but I'm certainly not trying to find an excuse for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They didn't play well enough to win this football game on both sides of the ball, but when the offense lost Travis Moore, they lost really maybe the key element in their offense in the passing game.
Yeah, the Riders were already down when Moore went out of the game. However, they didn't have him there for a comeback.
And he didn't play last week versus Edmonton either.
Down to the 5-yard line, but the Riders, no. They rule it out of bounds. Zeros are on the clock, no flags anywhere on the field, and that is it for this Labor Day matchup between The green and white and the blue and gold.
Well, they haven't won a bunch here in Taylor Field, but this one, a big one for the Bombers.
Dave Ritchie has his second win on Labor Day at Taylor Field.